couple of years ago now, I was in school and I was having a chat to this guy and we were talking about social media, and he was telling me that he did not have any social media for like recreational purposes. The only purposes he used social media for were for messaging other people, the kind of stuff that phones are generally seen as quite good and actually useful for. And the reasons that he gave was that social media rots your brain. He did not have any Instagram and TikTok and all that sort of stuff. I think I had Instagram at that point in time, but since then I've deleted that and I've been done with that for quite a while now. But he said that social media rots your brain, and you would have heard your parents say that social media and phones in general rot your brain. And looking at the current state of society and the current state of social media, can we honestly say that they were totally incorrect? Brain rot is now like a common term on social media, which has been associated with like a kind of certain type of videos that are just so designed to be so overstimulating that it does chemically rot your brain. And before this was even a big thing on social media, your parents and this guy were using those kind of terms like 10 years ago to do with phones and how it was going to be a danger and a menace to society. And in some cases they were wrong, but in a lot of cases they were actually right. Brain rot is quite a big issue, and that's just kind of what I want to rant about in this video. Social media these days is just full of loads of short form bullshit, overstimulating content that does not serve any purpose whatsoever. Some short form content out there is used for like advertising and sort of stuff, but most of the stuff that I see on other people's social media accounts is just random bullshit, just brain rotting, overstimulating stuff, and it's really not good at all. I think TikTok is even worse than Instagram, but the stuff that I've seen on Instagram is still pretty bad and genuinely like shivers me to my core. I think like the most stimulating, serotonin inducing, dopamine inducing activity that you can do with your friends at this day and age is to like have a group scrolling sesh on Instagram Reels, where you just scroll on Instagram and like find like the funniest things and show your friends. And I don't know, something about that just actually sends shivers to my core, that that's something that's so normal and common in society nowadays. Like, that really should not be how things work. You should be spending actual quality time with the people around you instead of having Instagram scrolling sessions and all that sort of stuff. Like, yeah, I've been part of those before, and it is like quite funny, but at the same time it's like your soul is being sucked from your body simultaneously. It feels really weird, and it's hard to be on social media without succumbing to this. I've seen people do it before. I've seen some of the cleanest social media feeds also from people in my school, but I don't actually know how that's possible. But the fact that the brain rotting stuff is so overstimulating, is so funny in a weird sense of the imagination. At least some of the stuff is just random bullshit that is specifically overstimulating, but some of it is actually funny. And people get hooked to that, people watch that, and that's when things start to go wrong. And they want to see that kind of funniness, so they don't click on the whole ignore this and make the algorithm work to their advantage in a way and actually show the things that are useful and productive for them. People just don't choose to do that, and they see social media as not a thing that they can use for productivity, but a thing that they can use for leisure time and social time. And if you sort of... I just killed a mosquito off my neck. That was a great hit. But people see social media as like a recreational leisure thing, not a productivity. And I did it again. That MF was going straight for the big vein. That is actually crazy. I need to start putting on bug spray, and it's only May. There must be something in my blood that these mosquitoes really want, which is really annoying. But anyway, as I say, social media is mostly seen as something used for recreational use, not productivity use. And I suppose if you kind of see it as productive, and the stuff that you do on social media is genuinely productive, then you can make it work to your advantage. But it's so hard because the stuff on there is its purpose. What the social media companies want from you is they want you to be hooked. They want you to be hooked onto the reels so that they can use advertising from the companies that actually pay them. Like, the way social media often works is that you, as the scroller of Instagram Reels or TikTok, is you are the product, and it's the companies that are paying Instagram so that they can use Instagram as their platform to advertise, and then you're the ones that are scrolling around, coming across these things, maybe you buy something, etc. While you were also the consumer, you were the product for the big companies like the Meta, the like, I don't know, Apple and all that sort of stuff, Microsoft. You become the product, but for them, their consumers are the smaller businesses, more independent businesses that are using their platform to advertise, essentially. That's how that works. And the more that you scroll on these apps, the more money that they make, because the more the little independent companies, the little independent businesses, the more money they're making, the more money they'll pay to Instagram. And it kind of goes as a cycle where you just become this thing that's having every part of its being, both money and time, sucked out of it, essentially, just to benefit these larger companies when it comes like down the chain, etc. But that's kind of, I suppose, where this whole brain rotting thing stems for, because the more brain rot you see on social media, the more you're going to get hooked to it. But if you realize that what you're watching is bad for you, and if you realize that what you're watching is brain rot, you can kind of start to actually make a change and to not watch that stuff, and to not give in to the kind of things that people actually want you to be giving into, if that makes sense. Some of the things that I see on social media are downright horrendous, and especially when it comes to having an influence on younger children as well. Like, I suppose the age that you're normally supposed to be on social media is like 13 years old, and the stuff that people above that normally post can be like quite brain rotting, but also ironic. And then the little kids that are on that app that shouldn't be on there end up seeing that as completely like normal, and they use all that stuff, and it's just ends up just turning into a cycle of perpetuating shame. Like, you would have seen like 7-year-olds, 10-year-olds, like things like Skibbity and all that stupid shit that is just soul sucking and rots your brain. It's absolutely horrible, but they're doing that genuinely, while people that would be like my age, I'd hope anyway, are doing that completely ironically as a joke. But that does have an impact on the younger generations as well. But seriously, stopping the brain rot is probably the best thing that you could possibly do for social media. And if I'm going to be honest with you, getting off social media is the best remedy to that. Yeah, you can cope and say, oh, but I'll just stop watching reels, I'll just make my Instagram feed more productive, more motivational, and all that sort of stuff. The trouble is you know you won't stick to that. You know the stuff is too overstimulating on there for you to resist, and it is really too overstimulating on there for you to resist. When you see one of them, your dopamine spikes, and then it crashes again, and then you want to see more and more and more to make sure your dopamine is satiated. But it just doesn't work that way. You have to completely detox from it, and then if you want to integrate social media back into your life in a productive sense of the imagination, maybe it's for business, maybe it's to network, for careers, for school and all that sort of stuff, maybe that's what you want to do to increase your social status and all that sort of stuff, because social media is quite a big part of social status for the younger generations like me. Then delete it and start to integrate it back into your life slowly. I just can't be bothered to do that, because I just don't really need social media in my life. I see no purpose for it. I've got friends that are actually good for me, that I don't need to message them on all these overstimulating social media apps, and I don't need to view that kind of stuff to access them from a messaging perspective. And I also don't need more friends from social media. I'm perfectly satisfied with what I have. And I think a lot of social media stems from FOMO, fear of missing out. The reason a lot of people are on social media is so they can catch up with the newest trends. The amount of times my sister or some friends that use this kind of social media, TikTok and Instagram, that have just looked at me with utter disdain because I don't know what this certain trend is. And it's not even like I've heard of it on YouTube at all, or anyone from schools told me about it. I am completely clueless about it. But people that use social media often have heard about this so much, and it's like, it genuinely surprises me how stark of a contrast there is between those who do use social media and those who don't. And I don't know which one is going to prevail in the long term, but I feel like having a more focused mind that does not get distracted as often is a big asset to you in any sense of the imagination, whether it's academically, whether it's for your careers, and no matter what you can think of that is your goal in life. Deleting social media and improving your focus that way will help you so much. Get rid of this whole brain rot thing, Skibbity BS bullshit, all the random Instagram reels that you see that just make you want to die inside, that are so soul-sucking, like it's like a dementor literally taking the happiness out of you. At least that's what I feel sometimes with some of the Instagram reels that I've seen. It's absolutely diseased. And as much as, yeah, it can be quite funny to talk about this stuff, ironically, the impact that has on the younger generations is genuinely quite stark and genuinely disturbing. So I just recommend not doing that, and have fun amongst your actual real life friends instead of your virtual Discord that just don't really actually mean anything. Let's be honest with that. But with that, I recommend subscribing for more content like this, and have a good day.